Hello again and welcome back to Evolving Waves. On this special show, we are talking about transformation, faith, and the true meaning of redemption. Remember, of course, in the face of any type of adversity, always lies the potential for growth, resilience, and success. We're going to talk a little bit more with Joe Gallagher today, talk about how he overcame the tides of adversity to reach the shores of success. We talked about a bit of his success in part 2 after talking about the adversity in part 1. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about that success and what reaching the shores of success looks like in terms of not just the recipe, not just the sauce, but also just your overall life today.
Before we get into his story, we want to quickly shout out our sponsor. Today's podcast is brought to you by Stingray Branding, a national lead generation-focused marketing agency that helps businesses generate an ROI from their marketing efforts, including web design, social media, Google search, email, automations, and more. Learn more about them at stingraybranding.com.
Joe, it's been quite the eye-opening experience getting to hear from you so far. Ready to wrap it up?
Yes, I am. It's been crazy. I love this. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, we're so happy to have you here. And let's start with the prop that you brought. From bars to jars. Your book tells the story of your transformation that you have laid out to us in the first couple of pieces of this trilogy. So what motivated you to write a book?
So I had started documenting some of the stuff I was going through when I started this company, and I've always wanted to write my life story, because it is kind of entertaining. I've been through a lot of stuff, so I started putting together my timeline. I think back in October, I started writing, and by February I was done with it. I had finished the manuscript, started editing, and then I published it May 30th.
May 30th of this year.
Mm-hmm.
So how long does it take to come from just putting your first thoughts down on the piece of paper, or I guess on a computer screen, to publishing the book?
I think it almost took, I'd say 8 months. About 8 months, I got it done.
8 months. It's quite a lot of writing you did in 8 months.
Yeah, 90,000 words, I think.
Yeah. Did you have any help writing it, or was it all you?
I had an editor, and I did use some AI to help me just structure everything. You know what I mean? But that's about it. And my wife, she helps me with everything. And I just want to give a shout out to her, because if it wasn't for her, I'd be dead, first of all. She has literally pulled pills out of my mouth when I'm trying to kill myself. So it's been pretty traumatic for her. So the fact that she's still with me is a miracle. The fact that she's been such an integral part in everything I've done has meant so much to me.
She has pulled pills out of your mouth.
Yeah.
How recently was the most recent time?
It was a while ago. It was probably, I was living in West Ashley at the time, so it was 2014, 15.
Okay, so not recent. That's, yeah. Before we go any further, we got to remind everyone that if you are struggling, if you are thinking about doing something like that, help is available. 988 suicide hotline, lifeline.org, 988lifeline.org is available. Seems like you had your own guardian angel of sorts right there with you.
Yeah, numerous times.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how do you talk about all these struggles in the book without giving away too much?
Yeah. It was cathartic for me and therapeutic, really, to get it all out on paper. And, my story has never really been out in the open like this. I kind of want to just bear it all. No more skeletons in the closet. Here I am. This is what happened, what it was like, and what it's like now. The book ends with leading up to the purchase of this farm.
Gotcha. Okay. So I guess the writing then ended in 24.
Yeah.
So okay. So what are people missing? What's happened since then? You want to fill us in very quickly on the timeline?
Yeah, so no, it finished in 2025. So
okay.
May we are in 2025, right?
Yeah.
So May 30th, 2025 went to Amazon, then about a month later went to Ingram Spark. What's happened since I finished the book? I've been getting podcast interviews. I've been in the headlines. LA Weekly did an article, so national headlines. And what's funny and ironic is that the same day that LA Weekly article came out, my car got repossessed because February 1st I pulled out of the commissary kitchen and stopped all income from coming in. So the book also worked out of necessity too to keep things alive in the stores. Because products are dwindling off the shelves, and I got to keep my presence.
Sure.
So it's perfect timing.
So how would you say that sharing your story through writing and speaking has influenced others? Because we talked about in the last show, and even here we talked about just 2 minutes ago that if you're struggling, help is available. So there clearly is an intent behind this to help other people. So do you have any success stories you want to share?
Some of the people that have shown up at these book signings, I was on a tour for the book at the Piggly Wigglies that my product's on the shelf at. And some people came out of nowhere, man, and said, this really meant a lot to me. I have family members, so even non-alcoholics who have dealt with addiction in their family said, I got to give this book to my son. And actually one person has their son in prison up in upstate New York who got a copy and is like, can't wait to get out to meet me. And, because, and I wrote him a personal letter just to hang on, it's going to be okay. Just, keep praying and keep the faith and,
Yeah, it's heavy. I mean, it's heavy stuff. We said in the very start of the first show, there's going to be heavy stuff today. And it seems like this is the other side of the heavy stuff, the good part of it. But even still, there's real struggle that happens here. There's obviously the addiction. There's the stuff we talked about in the first episode too, the incident in the Bahamas. There's just so much that could have stopped you, both in terms of ending your life and just ruined it from being able to physically put this stuff together. So what's been the most surprising and or the most rewarding part of your journey from addiction and struggling to entrepreneurship?
So being able to watch others heal and make progress in their own lives, watching others recover from all kinds of stuff, being able to mentor and disciple others, so many people have helped me without expecting anything in return. And it's really my responsibility to continue that, and pass the torch, pay it forward and all that stuff,
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely done a good job with that. I mean, just from with your grandmother's name, from the sauce to your nickname, Chef Giuseppe, which was not your given name, you've done a good job keeping her memory going. I think you're going to be responsible for a lot of other people also keeping something near and dear to them going as well. That's something that you've ever thought about? No,
I didn't, man. I like the way you put that. It's like you don't know who you're reaching and what they're going to do with the information that they're learning from your story. It's going it's going to reach someone outside of your immediate circle.
Yeah, I mean that's what happens when you have a book and now you're developing a Netflix series as well.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
Man, so from Bars to Jars, this is nonfiction, obviously.
Hold it up and show the people.
Yep. So there it is. Look at that guy. So I submitted the manuscript to Angel Studios. I got hooked on The Chosen. Okay, it's one of my favorite shows. Like I binge watched that. Staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning, getting stuck on the TV. And the name Angel Studios kept flashing up. So I'm like, what? Let me see how to reach out to these people. Because I think they would be interested in this story. So on a whim, I sent it out. I found their email or whatever. Sent it to them and didn't expect to hear anything back. But about a month later, I got a message on LinkedIn saying the story was so inspiring and they encouraged me to film a torch pilot for them to review and then submit to networks like Netflix.
So you're going to have yourself a Netflix series.
I think so. I think it's happening. I mean, I'm talking to directors, producers, it's got some legs. And I want to tell you that the second book that's near completion is a sequel, and it's a fictional continuation of this book. So, and it's taking elements from The Chosen, it's taking elements from Yellowstone, Ozark, and Lost. So wow. I'm combining all that and now doing a drama series. With conspiracy, faith, and all the good stuff.
Very cool. I am in the middle of Ozark right now, so I'm not gonna ask for any spoilers or anything, but I will say it's kind of crazy to have any work of art just take different pieces from all these different I guess, pieces of art. They are. They're art. They're pieces of film. They're archivable pieces of cinematic work. And here you are as the guy that's putting them all together.
Yeah, it's pretty overwhelming. It's fascinating. I am in love with what I'm doing right now. It's so much fun to be creative. I always thought that music was going to be my outlet for creativity, but it turns out it's sauce and a film adaptation. It's pretty wild, man.
So how are your hands right now? Just quickly.
They're okay. They're better. I'm playing guitar again at my praise team. At Nexus Point. So, but I can only take it in small doses. Like 3 songs at a time is the max.
Okay, but the muscle memory is still there. You can still play. Okay, you can still play well enough to.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it took like 4 years before I started having any feeling back on my hands. Still to this day, I get tingling sensations and some numbness in my fingertips. So it does make it difficult, and that my hands get cramped up.
Gotcha. Okay, so. I'm also assuming that does not at all impact you when you're putting together the sauce, which is another amazing part because you're using your hands as a chef. You have to. I mean, what are you going to do? You can use your mouth to open the jar. So you have to use your hands.
Well, more than that, man. It's my back for hours pouring sauce with a ladle into these jars.
Yeah.
My back and my neck and shoulders. Yeah, it's rough.
Okay. Redemption obviously is the very theme of Evolving Waves. We've had 14, 15 different human beings sit down. I think we had one show where we've had 2 shows where we had multiple guests sit down, and there's always some form of redemption, and it can take the form of growing up without good parents. It can take the form of someone who was kidnapped in the Bahamas. It can take anything in between. So, speaking generally, without getting into specifics of your story or anyone else's story and trying to even relate to their specific story, what would you say, aside from faith, because, yes, I believe that is important, but there has to be some action taken on your part, too.
Yes.
So what would you say the big key is to that?
You said the magic word. Faith without works is dead. So there's action involved. I can't get stuck in analysis paralysis, which I see so many people do, especially entrepreneurs. Like, I got to have everything perfect. I got to figure everything out before I take that step forward. At some point, you got to move. If you're starving, you're in a closet, right, and you're praying for a hot dog, guess what? You got to get out of the closet. Hot dog's not going to show up in the closet. You got to step out and go.
Yeah, I mean, that's an amazing thing. So your story also involves themes of forgiveness. So how have you been able to forgive those people who did the terrible things to you?
First had to come forgiveness of myself before I was able to forgive anybody else. So through the work in the program, a spiritual program of action, writing down all my resentments and all the harms that were done to me, what it affected, was it my self-esteem, my pride, my security, my sexual relationships, personal relationships, all that stuff, take a good look at it and then look at what my part in the situation was. I played a part everywhere my feet were and every interaction I've had with other humans, I was there. And really what it comes down to is a conflict of instincts run wild. Everybody has their agendas and motives, and our feelings get hurt, and we step on the toes of others, and they retaliate. So I had to forgive myself for being a guy that pissed off a lot of people, and therefore I had to forgive the people that pissed me off.
So you stepped on other people's toes, and you had to forgive yourself for being the one to step on other people's toes, and then you were able to forgive them.
Selfishness, self-centeredness. That's how I live my life. It was, what can I get out of this person? What can I take, instead of give,
Okay, so you talked about forgiveness. We talked about faith. What messages of hope would you like to share with people who are feeling stuck or overwhelmed?
Okay, so, I'm not qualified to be doing any of the stuff that I'm doing, really. It's just a matter of trial and error and that faith again, so it's like, just go for it. And if it could happen for me, it could happen for anybody else. I'm not that smart. I make a lot of mistakes. So it's not what we do, right, that makes God love us. It's because of who he is,
So what about that do you think is going to be helping future generations, young, children and other, teens and tweens growing up who may be going through other issues and again, even to the 20s and 30s age? What about your three mantras or the three themes, I should say, in terms of faith, forgiveness, and hope, or are faith and hope kind of the same thing?
No, they're a little bit different. You got faith, you got hope, you got belief, and you got trust. It's you got to have a little bit of all that, or as much as you can. And it's like everybody hits rock bottom at different levels. For me, it was drinking and drugging. For somebody else, it might be gambling, like we were talking about. There's so many rock bottoms. Spiritually, emotional bankruptcy. Somebody's got to hit that point, right, and say, okay, I give up, I surrender, wave the white flag, please, whatever's out there, come help me. And it's available to everybody. So it's like, it's a decision. Starts with a decision. Like, okay, I want something better in life. Okay, now what? Okay, now I ask for help. Humbling ourselves enough that we can receive the help. It's there, but we got to seek it.
I do believe that faith is important. I think it's very clear that you do as well. So you're wearing a shirt even that has a Bible verse on it. So tell me a little bit more about what that means.
This is the first scripture that I put in this book, Ephesians 1:7. It's basically, and I'm going to paraphrase. Like I said, I'm not a preacher. I'm not a prophet. None of that. I'm not that smart. But it's like through the blood of Jesus, grace comes from because of who He is. Grace comes for those who seek it, and it's that's basically what it says. Yeah,
grace comes to those who seek it, and you've obviously seen a lot of grace come your way because you have sought it out.
I'm glad that I got mercy instead of justice. Let's put it that way.
You're glad that you got mercy instead of justice. Maybe there's a little bit of both in there. Maybe you were meant to do some good things.
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what's miraculous is that my pain is being used for a purpose, a greater purpose that, like we talked about, it can help somebody. It could give somebody hope. And that's really, my main goal of all this stuff is that if one person finds hope, surrenders, and asks for help, and I'm there, I'm fulfilled. That's gratifying.
So you're obviously helping a lot of people with this that you don't even know. So you talk about how if you help one person, it's done its job. If it helps 100 people that you've never met, and it's done its job, but you won't know that. So where will your metric of success come from then?
Honestly, anything at this point is success. Anything past what I've been through. I'm in the bonus round. Everything I face today is a gift. Just this breath right now, this moment is a gift. Like I'm not promised tomorrow, so I'm just gonna, just enjoy every moment I have, and just be grateful. Stop complaining, criticizing, condemning. I'm out of the results business too. I'm not. I used to think I could predict the future and make things happen with my mind, and I don't have the power to do that. I gotta tap into a source of power far greater than myself.
How can people best support or engage with your mission to inspire change and redemption?
Aside
from buying your book and your sauce.
Yeah, buy the book, buy the sauce. But on apostoli.com, I have something called a prayer circle. It's a 99-cent subscription, and I'm not charging people to pray for them. But in this subscription, for 99 cents, you get all kinds of behind-the-scenes stuff, mentorship, discipleship, and a community of people just trying to encourage and lift each other up in prayer.
So what's the best piece of advice that you can offer to someone before they buy this subscription? What's the best sales pitch for it? I
mean, just check out what I'm doing. Go on social media and look at all the messages and stuff. If you want more of that kind of stuff, this is what you can kind of expect. But by joining the prayer circle, and it really is just so that we can lift each other up.
So we like to wrap up every show and every trilogy that we do with, where do you go next? We've sort of touched on that, but where does Chef Giuseppe go next? What's next for the sauce? Are you working on any alternate recipes? Are you working on any kind of, I don't know, maybe a barbecue sauce or anything, or some kind of different, or are you just staying with the pizza or pasta sauce? Or tell me any and all this.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny that you just said barbecue sauce. So when I first,
well, we're in South Carolina.
So here's what happened at that Piggly Wiggly that I got in. When I told them I had a sauce, would they like to carry the sauce I got? They said it better not be another barbecue sauce. So I said, no, it's a spaghetti sauce. But I've been working with Johnny Griffiths from Master Distillers, a real moonshiner, who's got a peach moonshine infused barbecue sauce recipe that I'm going to help co-brand and bring out to the market.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what's next for you personally?
Man, just I want to go to churches and schools, universities, and start speaking out and talk about suicide prevention, talk about domestic violence prevention, and all that stuff. Be an advocate for the people, the victims. And I've been a victim and I've been an abuser. So I think coming from me, you get the best of both worlds. And if I could help that major crisis, that's what I want to do.
We're going to be following you. We're going to be rooting for you along the way, Joe, because you have proven that there is help, there is success waiting on the other side if you go and take action. Yes, there is faith. Yes, there is prayer. You have to take action yourself. If you do, there is something good waiting for you on the other side. So overcoming the tides of adversity, riding them out to reach the source of success is the theme of our show. It's something that you have lived. It's not just words. You have physically done all of it. Mm-hmm. And we're so thankful that you were able to talk to us about all that.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor and privilege. I'm blessed.
Of course.
I'm grateful. This is a huge opportunity, and I just appreciate you.
Of course. We appreciate you and your openness because it's not easy to talk about all this.
You made it fun.
I'm glad.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
You did. You did a great job.
Glad. Well, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for listening and watching. And again, I just got to say it one more time because it's not something that you can say too many times. There is help available. 988lifeline.org, 988-suicide. There's always someone willing to talk to you and tell you that there is something better waiting on the other side. And Joe, if we didn't learn it before today, we learned it now, that you're the walking example of that. So we thank you again so much for your time.
Thanks so much. I'm just trying my best. But that's all I could do.
I think you're doing a good job.
Thank you.